Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Heart to Heart with Heather, episode 10. Oh, well, as you can see, I'm laying in bed, chillaxing. I'm just really too fatigued to get up out of bed, to sit up, to do this vlog. So, as everyone knows, I got my second Novavax COVID vaccine on September 22nd, and I would not be considered fully vaccinated or fully protected until 2 weeks after the last dose. So that would take me to Friday, October 7th. So as of October 7th, I have been considered fully protected. Yay! Well, silly me, I decided that with that newfound superpower, I was going to start filling my social calendar. So, all the activities I love to do that I have not been doing for the last 2 years, I decided I was going to start finding where my events were being held and plug them into my calendar. So, Sunday, October 9th, I had already pre planned to have a church picnic. I'm the family life director at my church, so I had been planning a picnic. I wanted to make sure it was after my 2 week period. So it was planned for October 9th at a local park. I reserved the pavilion. I bought all the games online, bought all the food, secured 2 church members who would be considered my chefs, and planned everything. Went out. It was a beautiful day. Um, I had maybe 40 people RSVP that they were coming. Well, it started out as a beautiful day, but then it rained. But the good thing is, I had reserved a large pavilion, so even though the rains came, we were able to play quite a few games under the pavilion. And then when the rain stopped, we went outside the pavilion and we played more games. Had lots of food. Everybody said they had lots of fun, so I was happy about that. Needless to say, I came home that Sunday night in agony and took to my bed basically for a week. Started feeling better, and then I decided, well, that led me to Saturday, October 15th. I decided I had not been out to church for in person worship in, apart from a random Sabbath or two where my pastor needed me or needed my husband and I to come out and do some remote streaming in the early days. I really had not been out for in person church worship for 2.5 years. So I decided I was going to go on Sabbath 15th. I was glad I went. Everyone was happy to see me. I stood around after church talking way too long, and the pains came back. So the recovery I thought I had been doing from the picnic, well, the recovery period was taken away, and I went back into crisis mode. So back to bed I went. I don't know. I'll never learn. My best friend tells me I shouldn't overdo it, and she calls me Little Miss Overdue, which sadly she's right. I overdo everything. So I took to bed, trying again to recover, but I had already put on my calendar that my city has a theater, a local theater, and they were having taiko drummers putting on a concert. The the group is called Fushu Daiku, Fushu, one word, Daiko, Daiko, taiko drummers, Taiko drummers. They were in concert Saturday night, last Saturday night, the 22nd, at 7 p.m. So after sunset, we went out. My husband and I went to the taiko concert, which was amazing. It was our fourth time going, but I love them so much that I'll go each and every time that they put on a concert. So I went there, and then Sunday, I took my dog. I told you guys about my doggy, Cappuccino, a Shih Tzu. I took him for a play date. So a local park has a water park, and for 3 weekends every year in the month of October, they dechlorinate the pool and they allow it to go to the dogs. So last Sunday, the 23rd, was the last weekend that he'd be able to go. I totally missed the date, so I missed the first 2 weekends. So I was glad that I found out about it in time to take him last Sunday. Took him, he had an amazing time. They don't usually have seats in the small dog area. So I stood, which I really shouldn't have, but anyhow, as a parent, we do it for children all the time. And now that I've become a dog owner, I find I do the same thing. You sacrifice your well-being for the good of others, whether it be your biological child, your furry child, your spouse, whoever. So I stood for the half an hour that he was piddling around in the pools and having fun, and my husband was playing with him, throwing the ball, and they were playing fetch and whatever. About half an hour later, my husband called my attention to the fact that the dog was shivering, so we took that as a cue that he had had enough. So I went and dried him off and decided we were gonna head out and head back home. I held the dog to keep him dry and keep him warm, and I took maybe 100 steps, if that much, to get to the gate to start heading out of the water park. I got to the gate, my vision got blurry. The whole area got black and blurry. I felt extremely weak. I felt like my legs weren't going to carry me. I felt extremely fatigued, which around the time I was diagnosed with lupus back in 2015, I became intimately familiar with that level of fatigue. It's a fatigue, not that you're tired or sleepy, but basically like a brick wall. That's how I describe it. It's like a brick wall just got erected right in front of me, and it said, you're not going any further. So I became extremely weak, extremely fatigued, and my vision was just black and blurry. I basically was able to hold on to my husband's arm, and I told him I'm going to pass out. I was leaning up against a post at that point. He said, sit down, go ahead and sit down. So I held on to him and I slid down the post till I was in a seated position. Now, if anybody knows me, I am extremely fastidious. I do not sit on surfaces that have not previously been inspected by myself. And considering I was at a water park, this post was in front of the very public restroom, And there were at least 50 dogs running around playing in the water and chasing after their balls and their owners and whatever. I sat down on the ground. I didn't check if there was pee on the floor on the ground. Didn't check if there was poop on the ground. At that point, it was just like, you know what? I'm either gonna pass out on that very same spot or I'm gonna sit. So I sat. Thank God I didn't sit in anything, but yeah, that came to my mind afterwards. I'm like, oh my God, I hope I'm not sitting in dog pee or dog poop or ugh, gross. Anyhow, I sat there for like maybe 10 minutes. The cutest thing, the neatest thing, the most amazing thing I experienced while I was sitting there being surrounded by all these wild animals. There was this dog. The dog and its owner, they were leaving the water park, and the dog came up to me. Now, I own a dog, but yet I'm terrified of dogs, especially big dogs. There was this dog. I think it may have been like a border collie, I'm not sure. But the dog came up to me while I'm sitting on the ground, and the dog sniffed my face. And I kid you not, I swear the dog smelt or sensed that I was not well. The dog left its owner's side to smell me, number one. And then after it smelled whatever it smelled or sensed whatever it sensed, the dog stretched out and laid down right beside me. Like the dog was 4 inches away from my body. I was like, oh my goodness. So my husband, who is the more talkative one, and at that point I couldn't talk anyhow, I was feeling so ill. He asked the lady what was the dog's name, and the lady said that the dog's name was Lady. So Lady sat beside me for like 5 of my 10 minutes that I was on the ground, just sitting there. I was like, oh my goodness, how sweet. I mean, I know about service animals, and I know owners can train their dogs to be their service animal based on whatever their health issue is. But this dog was incredible. It wasn't my dog, but yet the dog sensed that something was wrong and it left its owner's side to come and take care of me. I thought, oh my God is just so amazing. I don't know about angels. A friend of mine said, oh, that was your guardian angel. I don't know about guardian angels coming in the form of dogs, but that was certainly a pleasant treat. When we came home, my husband was like, oh man, I wish we had gotten a picture, which would have been neat. I would have shared it, but we didn't. He was more focused on whether his wife was going to live or die in that spot, and or whether he needed to call 911 or go get help, get a wheelchair to wheel me to the car. All of which I'm telling him, no, he's asking me questions, and all I couldn't communicate. All I could do was shake my head. He was asking me, do you want me to ask them for a wheelchair? I'm like, because he would have then ended up leaving me on the ground. I can't get up off the ground, guys. I'm disabled. So if I put on the ground, I can't get up. So I wasn't about to tell him, yes, leave me here and go get a wheelchair. I don't know when he'd be back. So yeah. So I told him no. He stayed. After about 10 minutes, I got some cloud cover. The sun was nicely hidden by the sun. I mean, the sun was nicely hidden by the clouds. Thank you, Jesus. So I was able to indicate that I would walk to the benches. So I walked to the benches and sat on the bench, the picnic benches they had out in the distance. Sat there for a few minutes. Used my inhaler. I do have asthma, so at that point I could hardly breathe. I was not only weak and fatigued, I was breathless. And yeah, so I sat there, used my inhaler, felt my breathing got a little better. the cloud cover continued, so I walked another few steps. I saw a random chair sitting there, so I sat again without checking anywhere. Randomly sat on this random chair to rest a little. Felt a little better, walked a few more steps to another random chair, and that's where hubby went and got the car, and I sat there until he pulled up the car. And I got in, and I have been in bed. Well, I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. I cannot lie. I had to go to a doctor's appointment yesterday, but I haven't recovered. I am just completely wiped out. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to be doing anything socially for November. There are some things in November I'd love to check out, but I don't think I'm going to make it. But there are some things the latter part of December which I guess I'll try and catch a few of those. I think the Nutcracker is one. I've seen the Nutcracker. This will make my third time, but I love the Nutcracker. And there's something about an elf. I don't remember what it is, but yeah. I am going to check those out in December. So as of now, I'm in bed. I don't plan to go anywhere or do anything. I'm just chilling, laying low, taking it easy. Yeah. But I will tell you, to be vaccinated is everything. You know, yes, I waited for the Novavax intentionally. And yes, my God has been incredibly good to me, protected me from getting COVID or any of my family members from getting COVID while I waited for Novavax to come on stream. But it affords me a certain level of peace and a certain level of comfort. So while previously I would put iodine up my nostrils, add double mask, I'd wear a face shield, and I would view practically everybody as a leprous person who needed to be avoided at all cost. Yeah, this affords me a level of comfort that I am now down to just one mask. I wear my surgical mask. I'm not going to ever be seen outside without a mask. It's just not worth it to me. And as a nurse, I know masking works, so I'm going to continue wearing my mask. So if I'm in a public setting, I am going to be wearing my mask. And yeah, but it felt good to start interacting with people, getting reintegrated back into society, and not feel isolated and lonely at home all day, every day. So that's my update. I hope you guys are well, and I love you, and we'll talk again another time on the next episode of Heart to Heart with Heather. And remember, if you like these videos, click the like button, click the share button, hit subscribe, and press the bell to be notified of any other upcoming videos or if I go live. Love you guys. Ciao.